Hello, how's everyone doing? It is your fallen angel back with another video. Today, we are going over the secrets of the inner self, the complete book of numerology, specifically the most important day. So without further ado, let us begin. All energy is vibration. Everything, whether animate or apparently inanimate, is in a state of vibration. Every atom and the components of every atom are in a state of flux. Everything has energy. Everything is vibrating. Even the physical objects that are still have energy. Everything is energy. Vibrations vary from one another by the frequency of their movement, expressed simply by the number of cycles per second and by the size, amplitude of that specific number. Variations between vibrations create individual aspects of life. If we could attain some concept of all the vibrations in creation, we would better appreciate the limitlessness of the Creator. Every human being is different. The entire 4,000 million of us. These differences give rise to human individuality. Our individuality varies in accordance with our personal vibrations and their power. Therefore, we must develop a means whereby these vibrations can be understood if we are to attain the key to human individuality and its relationship to the environmental and hereditary factors. Is there any doubt that certain influences of hereditary are exerted upon us, each of us, before we are born? Karmic aspects of these influences have prevailed with varying degrees of influence from prenatal times. However, as the soul continues to evolve, the higher levels of awareness through repeated incarnations, most major karmic debts are expiated during the lifetime in which they are created, leaving very little carryover. So the suffering, the learning, everything you do in this cosmos in your lifetime is essential to pay back these karmic debts until you learn inner liberation. So everything you learn is a learning process. Everything you go through is also part of this learning process. For most people, the more contemporary heredity that engendered by their mother's emotional state while they were in the womb will exert greater influence than will karma. Yet, as we have previously noted, even this influence would invariably diminish as infants develop into childhood with the growth of their own individuality. There is a prevailing tendency amongst most academic and health authorities to confuse habit and heredity. This is a long-standing habit which has been brought into question over recent years. Blame not heredity, where so often habit is at fault. So we as human beings, we are creatures of habit. We love habits. We love doing things consistently over and over because we feel comfortable. We don't like to exit our comfort zone. We like to do things that we are good at, things that we enjoy to be good at, things that we know the thought patterns, the cycles, we know the outcome already. This is why many people are scared to try new things, because they are scared of the outcome. A 15-year-old arthritic patient was brought to me because her mother realized drugs could not permanently cure her problem. Melissa had been told by her general practitioner that her condition was inherited. Her parents were also arthritic, but not so severely. Now, what we have to recognize is everything around you is energy. So with this being said, when it comes to medicine, when it comes to ailments, A lot of ailments derive directly from diet and your emotional state. Many doctors will confuse many things with heredity because this is part of creatures of habit. The people you are around, you're greatly influenced by. You're influenced by their emotional states. And more than likely, you share the same diet as them. So to say something is hereditary is easy to just put in parentheses. But really, these doctors or practitioners, they truly don't understand the significance of numerology. The child was following the same diet as her parents, although she did not enjoy eating meat. Analyzing her birth date, I quickly discovered Melissa's difficulty of self-expression, her deeply compassionate nature, and exceptional sensitivity, which had developed into something of an inferiority complex. Now we see this with many children and their parents, mothers and daughters, sons and fathers. This inferiority complex develops over time, where they can't express their own individuality. She ate her mother's cooking rather than try to prevail against dominant parents, as their numerological analysis revealed. Melissa's analysis also revealed her tendency towards hyperacidity, a precursor of arthritis. The mother's birth date told me of her overbalanced idealism and the reason she was motivated not so much by reason as by habit. Analyzing the father revealed his intensely logical and critical approach to all things and his deep, though largely unexpressed love for the home. They were very quick to respond as patients, although a little slow to accept that arthritis is not an inherited problem, but a function of diet and emotions. Guys, your diet is very important to everything when it comes to ailments. Many ailments can be avoided simply based off diet. Emotional state of minds are also important too. This is why the enemy works hard to make sure you're always in a fear state. Because if you're in a fear state, you're more susceptible to diseases, many diseases, and many ailments. So it's essential to have a happy life, because this will not necessarily rid you of all ailments, but it will help make sure your body is working at full capacity. Your body responds to your brain. When you feel depressed, your body will feel depressed as well. When you feel energetic and happy and motivated, your body will work with you as well. It required only 3 consultations to steer the members of this family closer to their correct paths. What commenced as a health matter concluded as a total reassessment of lifestyles. So many doctors, many practitioners, many people in the medical field, especially doctors, they don't necessarily want to give you the correct path or necessarily be a healers. Doctors in modern medicine today are not necessarily healers. They are trying to create a consumer, a customer, right? They don't see many patients other than a number or a customer. And now it's not to blame all these doctors to say these doctors are bad individuals. This is to say that the system that they're working under is created to create a customer, consumer-like, and not to try and find the root of the cause, but to just give some sort of consumer-based medicine that works over months and months and months and months, so you could keep this loop from the doctor to the pharmacy back home. It's this loop, this triangle that they've built over time. The parents become aware of Melissa's inner nature. The mother recognized her constant domination, the father his critical attitude, and the 3 the need to increase fresh foods and reduce starches and meat in their diet. Within a year, their arthritic problems had vanished. They were also a far happier family group once they understood everyone's nature. Modern studies clearly reveal how much mimicry infants employ. They learn far more from imitating parents' habits than has previously been recognized. So for the mothers watching, for the fathers watching, for the sons watching, for the daughters watching, for the brothers, sisters, grandmothers, grandfathers, aunts, uncles, cousins, At some point, you have been a parent or you will be a parent. Now, what I want to let you know is always be conscious of what you're doing. Always be conscious of what you're saying around children. Always be conscious of what you're doing around children, because they pick up on everything. They pick up and perceive everything. For many people, they think, oh, they don't have that wide of a memory to remember everything. But trust me, children see, hear, understand everything. Maybe later down the road, along the years, they will finally put these pieces together to understand what happened. But best believe everything is being understood. Everything is being watched. The subconscious is always awake, even if the conscious mind is distracted. With the parents representing the infant's first anchor of trust, it is little wonder that the children's subconscious attitude of, if it is good enough for my parents, it is good enough for me, is so strong. Hopefully, with this realization, parents will assume a far greater responsibility for their words and actions. So early on, as a child, they will believe that the parents are the most, not necessarily dictatorial force, but most necessarily the most affluent force in their life, right? They will take everything into consideration from their parents, because who else is there to trust besides the people around you that you see every single day and that are taking care of you? Therefore, there's a quote, well, not necessarily a quote, a favorite movie of mine's, 50 Cent's, Curtis Jackson's Get Rich or Die Trying. At the beginning of the movie, Curtis explains, as a young Curtis, parents think that children don't see everything, but children, they see everything, they hear everything. Now, what Curtis Jackson really meant by this is, we see everything. As children, you see everything. You may not be able to understand or put these things into words or truly explain it to someone else, but you're seeing this. And later on, your actions, your habits, the way you speak, the way you do things are all stemming from what you originally seen. So hereditary plays a good aspect in environmental nature versus nurture. So it is essential to understand that you as a parent have a great responsibility for your actions and words around your children and your family, because this will stem onwards, right? This is a stem-like action. It stems. And I'm not to say it's everyone's perfect. You should always be conscious of what you're saying, because we know the world is cruel. We know the world is suffering. We know the world is trauma as well. So I just want everyone to be conscious of their words and actions, because everything holds an energy, and these energies will continue onto others. This attitude persists well past infancy. Some people maintain traces of it even into an old age, but fortunately, the development of the individuality contributes to a corresponding decrease in the influence of both actual prenatal and assumed habit-oriented heredity factors. Individuality begins to stir at the birth of the infant. This is when its first independent movement is made. Its first breath of fresh air is inhaled. As the umbilical cord is severed, the infant commences to prepare itself for its first independent meal. It can now stretch without confinement in this bright new environment and can make all manner of sounds that are clearly audible. After all these months of darkness and confinement, it has commenced its individuality at last. Human life is very beautiful, right? It comes from the dark into the light. This is how many things operate, right? To see the stars outside, there has to be a certain amount of darkness outside. Now, many things in this cosmos operate off duality, if not everything. Light, dark, morning, night. Everything operates off its duality and its counterpart. So this individuality comes out of this darkness as well. Thus, the most important day in the entire life of a human being is the day upon its individuality commences to develop, the day on which its individual life makes its debut, or its birthday. This is the day of birth. From that first day, the new person makes his or her presence felt in the world. So begins the development of the personality. So the moment someone comes out of the womb, the nurses start writing in the book, or they write on the birth chart or the birth card, the moment, the time frame that they were born, the date, the name, the ounces. All of this is the screenshot of what was going on in the cosmos around you. The cosmos around you, the stars, the planets, all these have an affluent effect on you today. They had an affluent effect on how your parents met. They had an affluent effect as why everything happens. Therefore, it's essential to recognize how numerology and astrology are greatly intertwined. It is vitally important to recognize that personality is composed of individuality, tempered by environment and hereditary, but the root material from which the personality unfolds is unquestionably the individuality. So yes, your environmental factors, your external stimuli have a great impact on who you become. The things you see as a child have a great impact on who you become. But at the end of the day, your individuality will spike who you end up being, what you end up doing, and how you want to perceive and live your life. Because you are the individual. You are not a group or plural. You're singular. You, in essence, are the microcosm in this macrocosm of nature. The personality effectively becomes the expression of this individuality, an expression which develops its own special uniqueness as the child grows and becomes as a part of its home, environment, and then of society. Therefore, to find the key to this personality, in order to discover the secrets of the inner self, we must understand the essence of the individuality. The science of numbers offers a very accurate means of analyzing the individuality. This numerological method is not new, for we have seen it developed at the very beginning of Western culture in the 6th century BC. And even many other cultures have been using numerology, whether consciously or subconsciously, whether this be the Greeks, whether this be the Nordics, whether this be Ayurvedics, whether this be the Aztecs early on, whether this be many African tribes, many cultures knew about numerology, how everything is numbers, and how we can interpret it into our mini sphere of life, our mini universe. Even predating to this ancient science was that of astrology. Its origin is untraceable, but many think it started about 26,000 years ago. But we know it can still give us many valuable insights into human life. Essentially, physical scientists, together with some reporters, business people, etc., constantly deny any valid substance to astrology. Now, if you were to deny a claim, it is not science. Science is meant to be questioned, theorized, and constantly questioned. This is why many new medicines arrive, many new things arrive within science, because science is constantly questioned. If you are to withdraw something, it does not make it science. It makes it an indoctrination. And there may be a reason for that. Maybe that is because the enemy wants to remain in control. Maybe the enemy does not want you to know your true inner path. Maybe the enemy doesn't want you knowing your inner self. But they should realize that it is unwise to condemn those things of which they have not made no impartial study. Experience proves a very definitive role for astrology in learning the secrets of the inner self. As we will be seeing further on, we employ the essential characteristics of the sun signs to throw additional light upon our numerological analysis. These too are derived from the day of birth, the most important day in anyone's life. So guys, with that being said, this has been the secrets of the inner life, the inner self, the complete book of numerology, the most important day. With that being said, feel free to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Check us out on Patreon, Rumble, Twitter, Instagram, things of that nature. This has been your fallen angel, and I am out.